5 minutes late, strangely enough, which I guess technically means I'm on time, all things considered. That all said, how's it going, everybody? I know that regular streams are a thing that's been very hard to get me to do lately. I'm also going to... I think some of you guys may have already seen it, but my studio is functional now, which also means my audio should sound better now that we actually have the benefit of some soundproofing. So that's cool. That's a thing that we have now. But that all said, how are you guys doing today? Hopefully, you guys are having a wonderful day so far. If not, maybe I can try to fix that. Unfortunately, though, the topics we have to cover today are going to be, just a fair warning, they're not going to be that fun. So if you are not, if you're not prepared for some lively discussion, some very homophobic discussion, some very transphobic discussion, not from me, but from the people who I'm responding to, then please get ready. This is going to be a bit of a problem. This is going to be interesting. This is also going to be hard for a lot of people to stomach, I'm sure. But that all said, I hope you guys are having a wonderful time. We are going to go in. Is this a trigger warning? This is a few things. It's not just a warning for my audience that we're going into some sensitive topics. It's also a warning so that when YouTube looks at this video, because it's going to get demonetized. This is if I look at the history of videos on my channel, it's a history of videos being demonetized and then me having to appeal for review. And then sometimes they get monetized, sometimes they don't. Dealing with LGBTQ/GSRM issues seems to be the stuff that gets demonetized more than anything else. So this is here, so when YouTube does their manual review of this stream, they might actually look at it and go, oh, he wasn't being a homophobic piece of garbage. Because whenever their automated system reads things, their automated system will read the stuff that the pastors are saying, and it's going to auto-flag. YouTube's really weird when it comes to stuff like that. So yeah, this is a warning for people who may not have the stomach for this kind of stuff, and B, it is also a preempt so that when YouTube goes over this, hopefully things aren't going to be terribly crappy. That said, a couple things. One, if you have been paying attention to my channel, I did 2 collaborations recently. One was with Bionic Dance. If you have not subscribed to her already, please do so. She's a good friend and a very good collaborator who's helped with the channel several times. And then there's also the Atheist Rationale, who I also did a collaboration with, specifically on NIFB issues, homophobic pastors. So if you guys could please also go subscribe to him. He has, even when he's not uploading all the time, he has contributed greatly to the research that me and others have had access to when it comes to stuff like this, because there's hours and hours of sermons to comb through. And without Atheist Rationale's help, we would not have an organized setup for this at all. But we do, thanks to him. So please subscribe to Bionic Dance. Please subscribe to Atheist Rationale. That all said, let us go in. And let's start. Also, the term homophobic is not ableist because the common parlance definition of homophobia does not use phobia as fear, and therefore the actual crippling disability that comes from phobias does not apply. So, just throwing that out there right now. Common parlance, the same reason that I take the term atheist for myself, even though philosophically I'm an agnostic, the reason for that is the same reason that I accept the working definitions for transphobic, homophobic, etc. Common parlance, unless we are dealing with a technical issue, which here we are not, we're dealing with a social issue, common parlance usurps. So, first one we have today is our favorite Gordophile. So, oh yeah, before I get into that, so first of all, we're gonna go ahead and show his face. Boom, there we are. Secondly, I know I just shouted out 2 other creators because they're awesome, but if you have not subscribed to me, this is the point where I shake the jar and go, please do. Like, there's the thing that comes up and says, hey, you should totally subscribe, and then it goes away. And then the other thing comes up, that says, hey, Patreon's a thing. If you haven't done that already, then that's neat. That helps. $1 a day, literally, or not a day, please, not a day, but $1 every month or so. Like, it helps. Like, combined, it helps. It is the reason we can afford groceries. So, I got all that out of the way. All the shilling is out of the way. All that's done. Let's get right into Tommy McMurtry, who may or may not be sexually attracted to pumpkins. This is his a bit from one of his recent sermons. Also, we can see that he's shaved his face. Apparently, he doesn't feel manly enough to keep his beard anymore. But that's fine. I do, so it's okay. But Tommy McMurtry here wants you to pray for the Make America Straight Again conference, which, if you guys don't already know about, is the conference that's happening in Orlando that the NIFB is trying to put up. And some of the motivations behind it are a little more clear when you listen to this. Let's go ahead and take a look.
Also be praying Friday and Saturday. I'm going to be in Orlando at the Make America Straight Again conference. So be praying for that. There are forces at work against us.
I have no idea who those people are. None at all.
At that conference, but trying to do everything they can to stop it. But
oh no, we're not trying to stop you from having your conference because you do have a freedom of assembly. That's not what we're trying to do.
We're going to have it anyway, and it is going to be great. I'm so excited and just fired up about it. So just pray everything goes well there. Pray that if they do any protests, that it gets violent.
So, he is asking that if protesters come, which there are protesters going, I actually know some of the people who are going to be protesting this, because your freedom of assembly is equal to our freedom of assembly. Our freedom to set up a protest in response to you doing this shit is very much equal. These things stand on equal ground. I know people who are going to be protesting, you specifically. I will not name names. But because of that, your want for them to get violent is strange, except when you consider the fact that this is happening in Florida. Now, if anybody here is familiar with Florida and how Florida's law works, we have this thing in Florida. I grew up in Florida for 18 years, so when I say we, I own it. Most of my life has been spent in that state. We have this thing called the Stand Your Ground law, which is if you feel like you're going to be attacked in any property that you own, you have the ability to respond very, very violently, up to and including killing the person who comes in and comes into your house. There have been a lot of mishaps that have happened because of this law, but that's also Lloydie, super chat there. Goodness money for you. Thank you very much. I know I need to actually start reading super chats in funny voices, like I actually say in my description. That's a thing I probably should start doing. So, goodness money for you. It's a little bit of a... Maybe that'll be some comedic relief for all the shit we're going to be going through today. So, dealing with this guy still. What we have here is a pastor who's advocating for people to get violent with him in a state that has a stand your ground law. Now, why is this?
Have stand your ground in Florida. So, if we're allowed to fight back.
He wants people who the NIFB have said over and over again that they want to kill, or not them specifically killing, but they want the government to kill. They would like the sanctioned killing of LGBTQ GSRM people. They want the ability to see minority groups persecuted, killed, destroyed, wiped out of the country. They want this. So, going to a conference, godless, not goodness, fair enough. Going to this conference, they are wanting there to be protests that are violent so that all the people who are gay, who are allies, who are trans, who are here to protest their conference, which is their legal right to do, just like their legal right to have the conferences there. I see there's many kitty. They want these people to get violent in their protest, which is, there's a high likelihood that will happen. Hello, Yumi. There's a high likelihood that something like that will happen because at this particular protest, they're saying that these people need to die. And there's only so many times you can have somebody tell you to your face that you deserve to be killed before you may or may not retaliate. Can you ban... I don't actually see this Weebelies person. I need to actually do that. Weebelies. Oh. I mean, they can spam in the chat for a little bit, but if they get too problematic, then you can ban them. You can do the thing. Oh, there are many people advocating for this. Atheist Rationale, if you'd like to take care of that, go ahead and give them the smackdown. I still haven't eaten the cat. No. Anywho, they want these people to protest so that they get violent, so that they can retaliate and kill these people themselves, because they have advocated several times in the past for the murder of these people. Honestly, I don't know what we're supposed to take from that. Also, Skeptical Weeb, can you look at the conservative twins straight pride stuff? I actually have that on my chopping block here, but hold on, let me make sure. Where are you? Aha, yep, I've got that. Yeah, I actually had already been going through that video. I just haven't done it yet. There they are. I might go ahead and throw that one on the chopping block for today. Might as well. 0321. What voice should I even do this in? I don't even know. Is anyone disturbed at how few Christians are willing to say that they're against the government systematically executing millions? Yeah, I don't know. It comes down to if the millions are othered, if they've managed to successfully other that group, then I can completely understand why some people might say, well, we don't. It's like, for instance, with the NAFB, what they do is they say that gay people are pedophiles, which we know isn't true, but they say that they are all pedophiles. Why have you thrown so many cats in here? Why have you given me so many cat? But when they say that these people are pedophiles, and then they say they all deserve to die, the audience, for them to... Why are you giving me so many cats? For Anderson's audience to say that they don't want gay people to die, Anderson and his audience will then... Anderson and others will then respond, you don't want pedophiles to die. And because there's this equivocation between the two, from them, we get this really awkward scenario where people who advocate for people who are gay, trans, etc., anybody in the LGBTQ, in their eyes, or in their audience eyes, because I doubt that they even think that this is the way things work, but in their eyes, they're then advocating for people who have the potential to prey on children. So I can kind of see why some people within their audience might not denounce it, only because if you've ever dealt with cults and cult mentality, they understand that anything that they say against the pastor is going to get them thrown out. There's a lot of videos of Anderson getting completely thrown out. Now, Christians who are outside of that sphere, we're talking like the Mike Wingers of the world, which apparently Mike Winger is going to be doing something about Anderson. So, thankfully, that's happening. Or at least as far as I know, that's happening. But when we have these particular people who don't want to say anything about the Andersons of the world, that's when I get concerned, because it's people who have nothing to lose by denouncing these people who are being monsters. Because again, it's one thing to denounce the cult leader when you're in the cult, because when you're in the cult, denouncing the cult leader has repercussions. Those repercussions don't exist when you're not in the cult. At least not the same ones. There still are some. Like, they can weaponize their groups against you and stuff. They've done that to me and Telltale and a few others in, like, minor ways. Some people have gotten it worse than others. But that's less than, like, having your family stripped away from you and stuff. The risk is much lower. So, seeing that there are Christians who do not want to deal in putting these people down verbally, not the way that they are saying to put LGBTQ people down, is strange to me. We have another super chat. First one, this one's from Larry Townsend, $2 super chat in text. Super chat. And then there's also Damien. They always say it's not Adam and Steve, so why can't it be Adam and Eve? So why can't it be Endel and Eve or something like that? Last I would say is for that, I would say, they did say in the Bible that the land of Nod existed. There's nothing saying that Adam didn't go find himself a Steve in the land of Nod. Just throwing that out there. Just throwing that out. But let's finish Pastor Tom McMurtry's little rant about how he wants people to get violent at a protest so he can respond to them in violence.
There, so I say bring it. But anyway, and with the crowd that would be protesting us, it'd be a pretty easy win. So yeah.
Woo! So not only does he want them to get violent so that they can fight back, he has this idea in his head that the protesters are going to be people who he can easily execute. Okay. Stuff like this, just... I wish that I could emote better. I can't emote very well. Because stuff like this makes me feel very emotive. But I don't move that fast when it comes to that. Maybe it's because I'm fat. Let's be honest. I am quite the pudge. And even though we are on a property now where I can start working out easily instead of in the apartments like I was, so I can start finally doing that, I'm still quite pudge. So maybe that's why I don't emote. Maybe in 40 pounds I'll be able to emote. Who knows? That all said, Zach FR has submitted some fan art, so let me go ahead and get ready. Backgrounds, music. Where did I put this? I've put it somewhere. I am horrible at doing my job. I'm sorry, guys. Aha! We have a tiny Chibisaurus. I shall put the tiny Chibisaurus on screen. Into the fan art section you go, bud. Copy and replace. There we go. Into here we are. Boom. Jack 3D with the $5. Would you say that they are objectively wrong? Do you believe subjective, objective, absolute, universal morality, some combination or something? So I am a pragmatist and a moral anti-realist. So, and I kind of lean a little bit on error theory, which anti-realism is a subset of subjectivism. But because I'm also a pragmatist, I also recognize that the truth value... Hello, kitty. The truth value of a particular moral stance is less important than the usefulness of it. For instance, it is useful to live in a world where a minority group is not persecuted simply because they are different than everybody else. It is useful in that it maximizes human happiness in that way. Because the happiness that is given to the executioner is not going to be anywhere near the amount of happiness that the other person could experience by living their fucking life. So, that's just my take on that. My view on morality is... I also have this view on morality because I'm a pragmatist and anti-realist. Should we find that morality is, in fact... Like, should that 2,000-year-old conversation finally be put to rest... I would not care which side it actually ultimately lands on, personally speaking. So, that's just me. Also, we seem to have 233 concurrent viewers so far. That is amazing. I have never had that many viewers before on a single stream, so holy crap. But thank you all for the super chat so far. Let us continue Tommy's silliness. He's only got like 10 seconds left.
Anyway, but be praying for that. I'm really excited about it.
Oh, he only had, like, a little bit. I love how their website is Give Me Liberty Baptist when they're literally advocating for the persecution and murder of people. That's not liberty. Mystic of the chat. React to homosexuality as a demon. So right now, I actually have a lineup of videos that I'm going to be going over. But if I've got time, then I would not mind you throwing that into the video suggestion section of my Discord. And then I can take care of it on there. If I can't take care of it there tonight, by being in the video suggestion area, that increases the chance that I'll be able to take care of it on another live stream that is dealt mainly in suggestions. What about egoism, utilitarianism, or deontology? So, first of all, I find utilitarianism, when used in its logical extreme, to be problematic. For instance, under utilitarianism, when we try to maximize happiness for the most number of people possible, we find ourselves in a situation where a person could potentially walk into a hospital with a cold and have to donate all their organs to the 5 or 6 people who would die if they don't get it, because that maximizes human happiness. Because there are 5 people and 5 families, and by entailment, 5 sets of possible children, as opposed to 1, that would all benefit. It's utilitarianism is useful in the sense that it answers trolley problems very quickly, but I don't like the moral implications of those answers, and I don't want to live in a world where those answers are so cut and dry. Personally. Oh, Jake 3D, you keep calling me Jack. Sorry. Fair enough. I believe that morality is universally objective, and subjective morality is plenty useful for the world that we have. Yeah, fair enough. That's a conversation. Jake 3D, I know that the last time we've actually had some decent conversations over the video game streams and stuff. So maybe one of the video game streams here in the future. Not League of Legends ones. League ones are not places for moral conversations because League is a highly concentrated game. But like World of Warcraft, Gungeon, or other streams like that, I would actually not mind having the morality conversation with you. That all said, I hope you guys have enjoyed the fact that every now and again I do the video game live stream thing on top of all this. Jack and Quill has submitted some fan art. I know you've been working on this for a while. This is not a quick sketch. This is not a quick sketch. Is this just all the different types of Cirrus that have been created? Hold on. Is this all the canonical Cirruses? I think that's what this is. Hold on. I gotta move Bumblin' Bee's thing out of the way real quick. I keep their subscribe thing up until we've got stuff there. So we got that there, and then we've got boom. Mini Chibisaurus gets the corner. No, actually, let me go ahead and get rid of some of the negative space here. That way, when more fan art comes in, I don't have to fight to cram it in. So we're going to go ahead and take this one first, though. This room. Where are you? I'm bad at streaming, guys. I'm so sorry. Take this room one, and we're going to maximize it first. So we can just appreciate that. I definitely did not actually move that. I thought I did. I thought I had moved it. I need help. I need an actual producer. Like, I'm bad at this. There we go. There we go. So this is every, maybe not every, but close to every Cirrus. Confused screaming. Okay, so we've got Rule 63 Cirrus with tentacles holding a body pillow, because that's happened. We've got a Rule 63 Cirrus down here. We've got Plushy Cirrus, which people argue is the real Cirrus. We have Vaporeon Cirrus. We have Hammer Cirrus, because that's also a thing that's happened. We have Neko Cirrus. I don't know what Cirrus is. I think, is this regular Cirrus? I don't know. One of these three has to be regular Cirrus. There's Magical Girl Cirrus, and there is Emmett and Raz in the background laughing, and it is called Room 63. This is excellent. This is every type. Oh no, this is every type of Fem Cirrus that has come. Just laughing at me. Oh boy. I know that was not made just through the course of this stream. That is some excellent fan art. We're gonna move you, Dare. The body pillow is long Cirrus. Oh my god. I might have to make this a computer background at some point. That's actually really good. Oh my god. Jack, permission to use this as like border stuff for YouTube at some point. Oh boy. Anywho. So Sailor Cirrus has a tiny ocean in her broom. What? Oh my gosh. Sailor Cirrus does have a tiny ocean on the broom. In fact, actually, I can do this real quick. Let's take this. Put this in stream. Boom. Ocean. Aha. Guys, look. There is a tiny ocean there. It's a tiny ocean. Tiny ocean is tiny. Anywho. Pirate Piggy used it as a channel banner. I was thinking about that, something like that. Okay. So the next one that we have here is this is somewhat quick. This is another pastor from the NIFB, and they've got some interesting words to say. It's this guy. Okay, I believe I can't remember this person's name is. I believe it starts with an H. Atheist Rationale would know their name quicker than I did. Bruce Mejia. Bruce Mejia. That's who it is. This is Bruce Mejia, and he has some words to say about how LGBTQ people should be treated by the church.
Okay? And look, we're not the church that just says, well, we're just going to preach against them. We don't agree with their lifestyle. No, we believe they should be put to death. Yes. They should die. Yes. And I will never grieve over a sodomite that is killed or that is put to death or any other way that they die. I will never grieve for that. In fact, I will rejoice over that.
Okay, but the biggest question here is why? What do you gain from celebrating? This is not just not grieving, because I could understand apathy, right? If you don't know somebody when they die, then it doesn't affect you. There's a million people dying probably by the end of today. I will not know any of them. I will not grieve them because I do not know them. But what benefit is there in celebrating it? What do you gain from that? What moral position do you manage to appropriate when you celebrate the deaths of people who have done, I'm not going to say who have done nothing wrong, because just as there are heterosexual people who commit crimes and do things wrong, I'm sure there are also obviously going to be homosexual people who commit crime. But who, on the whole, as far as you know, have done nothing. You are celebrating their death merely by the fact that these people are gay, or these people are trans, or these people are anything into the GSRM spectrum. What do you gain from celebrating their death? I don't understand this mentality. I really don't. And from what I understand, I think he is either part of the NIFB, or he is tangential to them in the same way that Kent Hovind is. Because Kent Hovind is old IFB, and he's very closely connected to the NIFB people, but Kent Hovind himself is not NIFB. Anderson has a love-hate relationship with that guy.
Make a clip out of that and put that in the news.
Right, amen.
How can you call yourself a Christian? Well, if you're a Christian, how can you?
Yeah.
And his people in the audience are just sitting there going, yeah, no, he's right. He's right, guys. He's right. No, how can you be a real Christian and not celebrate the death of another living, breathing human being? Give me a fucking break.
Call yourself a Christian. Why would I grieve over the most wicked people on the face of this planet? People that are haters of God. Where do you get this from?
So, I know people. I actually know people who are Christian and gay. What? How are they immediately haters of God because they're gay? Because even the NIFB admit that this is something these people can't control. Their reason is different than the scientific consensus. The scientific consensus on this is that we don't know the actual area this stems from, but we know that it's a mixture of nature versus nurture. We know that there are some things that happen very, very early on in life between genetics and between how you grow up that lead to this, but none of those things can be controlled. None of those things.
Unfortunately, I have to go to bed. But I love you and thank you for taking a stand against this horrid crap.
Thank you very much for the generous $10 donation, Dinkelberg. Said, unfortunately, I have to go to bed, but I love you and I have to thank you for taking a stand against this horrid crap. See, I wish I could say something better, but unfortunately, one of the reasons why I'm taking a stand against this stuff is because these people, maybe not to the extreme that these people are, but this is a mindset that I used to have because I grew up in an IFB school. I grew up in Pensacola Christian Academy, which was the love child of an IFB, somebody with money from the IFB, and a Seventh-day Adventist. So I got a bunch of homophobia and post-apocalyptia sandwiched together, and as a result, I have 40 fucking Left Behind books down there. I still have those from my childhood. So when I see stuff like this, I see a person who I used to be. Not quite as extreme as these people. Nowhere near as extreme as these people in many cases, but I see that person and it hurts. It hurts knowing that I could have maintained being that person. But it also gives me some hope that maybe not the pastors, but some of the people in their audience could be convinced to get out. So, Matty Verde says there's 44 Left Behind books. Actually, there's 52. There's 52 Left Behind books. There's the 12 original Left Behind books by Tim LaHaye and other guy. I can't remember his name. Then on top of that, hold on. There we go. I don't want you guys to have to hear my sniffling. Pollen's in the air. But aside from that, there's also 40 books from different characters' perspectives in the Left Behind series. They cover the same stuff. They have all the same events, same characters, same everything, but they are from the perspective of kids or teenagers who are going through it. And instead of 12 books, you got 40. It also meant that when my mom was reading the Left Behind series, I got to spoil it for her, because there were several events in the kids series that happened chronologically earlier than they happened in the adult books. So, fun stuff. Fun stuff. Spoiler alert, Chloe gets her head cut off. There you go. Anywho, that all said, antisocial personality disorder describes exactly what used to be sociopath and psychopath. Oh, so there seems to be a DSM conversation going in the chat. Okay, so just for clarification, DSM-4 has sociopath and psychopath in there, as a psychopath is non-controllable in the sense that it is bred, and sociopath is non-controllable in the sense that it is made. A person could be not on the sociopathic spectrum and then find themselves as a sociopath later in life due to trauma or any other reasons. Psychopath is something that somebody is born with. That is DSM-4. As of the DSM-5, these are no longer considered classifications. As of the DSM-5, these are now all in a giant spectrum called ASPD, or antisocial personality disorder. This is because there are so many varying factors in what we used to know as psychopathy and sociopathy that we have now decided that it is better to classify these things in a spectrum. Because by classifying them in a spectrum, we can get more accurate information on these diagnoses. So, fun stuff. DSM-5. If you want to know about mental stuff, don't stick with older DSM models. Go to the DSM-5 and use that one, because that is as of right now the current research, the current information. I believe you can get a paperback version of it for like $25 online, something like that. And actually, as of the most recent editions, I believe there was something that was removed when it comes to dysphoria, because we have found that there are ways that it can be functionally helped. I can't remember though, so don't quote me on that. But that all said, you can also get it free online if you know what you're doing. Yeah, but we're not going to talk about that. We are not going to talk about that. So, moving on with Bruce Mejia, if he's got anything else to say in the sermon.
Look at Leviticus chapter 20.
Of course, we're going to Leviticus. Great. Yep. For anybody who has not read their Bibles before, Leviticus is probably one of the worst chapters to read when it comes to, if you're a humanist, this is the chapter that probably pisses you off the most, or the book that pisses you off the most.
If a man also lie with mankind, as he lieth with a woman, we don't need to really explain what that means. It's pretty self-explanatory. Both of them have committed an abomination. They shall surely be put to death. Their blood shall be upon them. And if a man take a wife and her mother, it is wickedness. They shall be burnt with fire, both he and they, that there be no wickedness among you. And if a man lie with a beast, he shall surely be put to death, and ye shall slay the beast. And if a woman approach unto any beast and lack...
Okay, I don't think there's really anything else we need to go through on this one. This is pretty much just taking Leviticus and running through it and saying, hey, the Bible says this is why they do this. If you ever wanted to know why these people act the way they do, why they think that these people need to be put to death, there's what it says in that book. Now, more sensible Christians who don't advocate for genocide, generally take upon the idea that there is a new covenant and an old covenant, and under the old covenant this was okay, and under the new covenant this type of rhetoric is no longer okay. I recognize that we can't convert all of those Christians into atheists or pagans or any other religion. I recognize that's an unrealistic goal. So my goal instead would be to take Christians who think that this mentality is okay, that think that it is all right for you to kill people, and then just say, hey, maybe it's not a very Christian thing to do to advocate for murder. Just maybe. So... there's that there. Sath the Atheist says, the gender dysphoria clips that you covered, I did timestamps for Atheist Rationale. So I don't actually... So it's on Twitter that Atheist Rationale sent me the gender dysphoria thing, but I do not have the timestamps sent to me. Atheist Rationale, if you can send me, or either of you, if you can send me the timestamps so that I can go through that video at a better pace, then please do so, and we will go through that. Also, we have another super chat. This is from Magpie's Nest Productions. Are you going to do that Isaac Butterfied vid? Did you send that video to me at any point? Send it to me over DM real quick, so I can take a look at it, and then we will go through there. Read the freaking 10 Commandments. Yeah. It's almost like thou shalt not kill is one of the 10 Commandments, but they think that it's okay for them to kill here anyway. Just weird. It's strange because I've heard them appeal to Moses before. But here we are. Woden Toad. I think I'm going to save my sanity and listen to ambient music and study calculus. Good night. That would be the more sane thing to do, all things considered. All right, so that was Bruce Mejia. That's his dumb stuff. Let's go ahead and veer off for a second whilst... Hey, hello, Google. There we go. Let's go ahead and veer off that for just a second. And while I'm waiting for those timestamps, if they come in, we have these guys who Skeptical Weeb has been wanting me to go through. Black Diamond says, love the new studio setup. I do, too. I actually really do. One, I think my audio is a little better now. Like, I think my audio quality maybe improved a bit with the actual soundproofing. Two, I like having all of my stuff behind me. If anybody wanted to know whether or not I am a freaking nerd, all they have to do is look behind me and go, oh, you have a dual disc. Oh, you have a GameCube. Oh, you have a Star Wars box set, which, back there. So, it's easy for people to tell that. Other people may want to have like philosophy books and stuff behind them, which is cool. Philosophy is a wonderful hobby of mine, but it is not my passion. It is in no way my passion. That is. And this. It just happens that philosophy is a tool that I have to use here. So, these guys are called the Conservative Twins. And I haven't seen a terrible much from their channel. And I've only actually seen 2 minutes of this video. But this was made a few days ago, about 5 days ago, in response to, whatchamacallit? In response to the straight pride parade that they tried to throw in Boston, which beat the Dubs. They got a Marshall as Milo in Indianapolis, which I think tells you a lot about their fucking parade, but that's fine. Jake 3D with the $2. Thou shalt not kill is subjective. I'm not certain. It depends on how it's worded. So, first of all, we'd have to look at the actual original. So, 10 Commandments... New American Standard. Not the original, but it is more accurate than the King James Version. Because the King James Version gets your thou shalts. Okay, so in the King James, in the Ten Commandments, in Exodus 20, 1 through 17, says, you shall not murder. which is not the same thing as thou shalt not kill, because you shall not murder means that you should not do any type of premeditated killing. However, killing in self-defense it would be allowed for that. So I can understand why they would want to do like the retaliation thing for their conference, because that actually functions for them better. It all really ends up depending on which translation you're going through. So, thou shalt not kill and you shall not murder. Those are very different statements. So no, Jake 3D in the chat. You're actually correct here. Like I know you're saying it was a joke, but like in this particular stance, it works. But it's awkward because they use the King James version. Hold up, what's the vid with the pray for violence thing? It is this vid, actually. There you go. There you are. That's that one. I can help with that. That'll be the modern English interpretation of murder. Did it mean the same when the verse was written? That's a very good question. I would need to talk to Digital Hammurabi for that, because Dr. Josh actually knows Aramaic and could help me with that verse. In fact, actually, I might contact him about that at some point. To them, it means kill $2 from the Undertale Skelly Bros. Fair enough. Uncle Ubi says, what's so bad about the KJV? The King James Version is a translation from 1611, I believe. And it's based off of a collaboration of Greek documents that were built in the 1500s, or it was either 1500s or the 15th century. But within 100, 200 years of the actual... much to drive in there, but I can't hear. But it was created off of a collaboration of documents that they themselves were not the most accurate because of the time of their creation. They were much closer to the publication of the King James Version. The New American Standard and other versions use older manuscripts and documents that are closer in time to the original, and therefore we get more accurate translations from them. The King James Version has the problem of being, one, early modern English, which means that there's a lot of flowery language in there, what we would currently consider flowery language, that doesn't function very well for speech now. It sounds great and it sounds poetic, but it's not terribly functional in the same way that a direct translation would be. And two, again, because of the documents it was based on are different than the documents that are used to create some more accurate Bible translations, we get a wholly inaccurate Bible as a result. So there's that. My little King James Version rant. Anytime somebody says the King James Version is the only version of the Bible that's applicable, get them in line with literally any biblical scholar, and they will step on their nose. So, it's not good. It's wonderful for the poetry. If you are wanting a Bible that's going to have the poetry in it for you, then go ahead and do that. But if you're wanting something that is more functional, I would highly suggest like a New American Standard Version. Something like that's going to work a lot better. All right. These dudes. Oh, also, there's some speculation amongst historians that King James was, in fact, either gay or bisexual, which also means that your homophobic Christians being King James onlyists, the irony is palpable. Jack and Quill, Kara and Frisk are non-binary agender. Correct. From what I understand, that's what Toby Fox, and that was Toby Fox's intent. Derek Strum says, I've learned more about Christianity as an atheist than I ever did as a Christian. It happens.
This is Gay Pride Month, right?
Yeah.
Incorrect. You're already wrong. You're already wrong. Pride Month has started as Gay Pride, but it has evolved into LGBTQ Pride, which we would now basically say is GSRM Pride because it's a much more functional acronym and doesn't cause quite as many problems as LGBTQ. So, that's already awkward that in four seconds, we already fucked up. Autumn Cassidy says, to be honest, they probably use the KJV to be elitist or to lie by omission like the old Catholics doing Mass in Latin. Yep, fair enough.
Is it? I don't know, I'm not gay.
I'm guessing that was just attempt at humor.
I think this whole month is about gay pride.
It's gay something.
Casino in the chat has started using the NIV. Is that better? So the NIV is more functional in that it's easier to read, but it is not necessarily a more accurate translation. It's an easier one to read, but it is also based off of some more recent manuscripts like the KJV is. Again, I would definitely advocate for something like New American Standard.
I think it's gay pride, right?
Yes, gay pride, and rightfully so.
You guys have been persecuted because of your sexual orientation.
I mean, the atrocities that gay people have seen is horrible, and it's still being seen. But
Especially in Muslim countries.
yeah, but let me get to the topic at hand.
Yeah.
Now,
I like the attempts at big dick energy that they have here. Like the whole gay pride. Yeah. Like I get it. It's good in that it's energetic and it'll make people watch because they're going to be like, yeah, I can get into the video. The people who are presenting are into the video. But holy crap, it's cringy. It's really cringy. Undertale Skelly Rose with the $5. To be honest, I feel the problem with GSRM is a thing that is because it's so young, it's not really going to get the same push as LGBT, in my opinion. Correct. There is a history behind LGBT or LGBTQ as an acronym. There's a history behind it. It's going to take a very, very, very long time in order for GSRM to get adopted more wholesale, especially because currently it's only a small subset in the community that are using that acronym. It's going to first take the LGBTQ community adopting the GSRM acronym and then going from adopting the acronym internally to allies using it, and then after allies using it, there may be a push for other people to use it as well who may not be allies. Once you get that, then it becomes a lot more functional for societal reasons. But I think that practically it's the more functional of the two.
now there's some rumors going around.
Yeah, I don't think it's rumors. These are facts.
This is in the works.
Yeah.
I think it's in the Boston
This is in
area.
the Boston area, yeah.
They're working on a straight pride parade.
Hell yeah, it's about time, man.
Okay. We're going to start here. So, hold on. We're going to do a thing. So, the organizers behind the Boston Straight Pride Parade. Let's see here. The three men organizing the parade are John Hugo, Mark Sahadi, and Chris Bartley. They're who is called the Gay Ambassador on the website for the Straight Pride Parade in Boston. Hugo unsuccessfully ran for Massachusetts congressional district. He supported an endorsement from Resist Marxism, a group that's considered to be alt-light. So you've already got some kind of alt-right leanings here. That's what alt-light means. But what we have here is, and I'm trying to make sure that I've got all this information right before I go out on a tangent. But okay, so Sahadi, who is one of the organizers, has referred to his comfort with violence more covertly than some more outspoken people, but he does have some social media posts that say that he considers that violence is an acceptable response to counter-protesters at their events. Not unlike our buddies at the NAFB. Also, he seems to have this weird thing where he'll say patriotic when he means nationalistic. That's a thing that happens a few times as well in his speech, from what I've seen. Here's a tweet from him. Of course, none of us should instigate or promote violence. However, I'm concerned that some patriotic Americans are too willing to accept that they have less rights than everyone else in order to avoid conflict. Well, what patriotic Americans have less rights? Let's move on. There is violence at our events because the left comes to shut them down by force. And this is this talking about the left or the left wing of politics as this giant myopic blob that exists as one unit. The reason why there's no violence at leftist events is because patriots do not do the same. Are you sure about that? That sounds like a hasty generalization. As an American, I have a right to free speech in any city or town in this nation. I do not plan to give that up, even if it means that there will be times where I have to literally fight for it. Except from what I've seen, there hasn't been a point where, and this was in 2018, this was recent, there hasn't been a time where that free speech has been violated. So, it's weird. It's very, very weird. Seemed that we just got another super chat. You should respond to more No BS videos. I plan to, because Heatherly Brook doesn't do a whole lot of actual research when it comes to his videos. He just spouts stuff. So, now from what I've seen, the organizers are not. Let me move. The most good faith actors, and this seems to be just a counter organization thing. Because if you want to have straight pride, for instance, I just did a thing with Bionic Dance on this. If you want to have a straight pride parade, that's neat. But when you try to do it on the same month of Pride, LGBTQ Pride, it seems less like you're trying to have an equal shot at having your own pride and more like you're trying to co-opt one from a marginalized group.
Took long enough. Where can I sign up?
Now, the gay people, homosexuals.
Don't forget about the trans community. They're different.
Well, you can lump them all into one.
The LGBTQ.
Well, it's longer than that now. It's a bunch of different. It's like an alphabet now. Just stick to one term.
Don't say it, you might offend somebody.
What are you talking about? Just use the word gay.
Whew! Okay, so, in the audience, if you think that all trans people are gay, press G. If you understand that by saying all trans people are gay, you're being a bit of an idiot, press H. Because there are straight trans people. But go ahead and do it. We seem to have many H's in the chat. Lots of H's. All right, guys, you know what that means, right? You know what this means? We have to thank Jack and Quill because currently the chat is very H. It is incredibly H. Everybody here seems to understand how this works. This is not new. This is not something that you guys don't get. This is a very obvious thing. Next thing, we have another fan art that was submitted by PS Talks Thick. I'm going to go ahead and toss that in there. Aha. Give me the sugar. I have no... Oh! I am Hank Hill. I sell hammer and hammer accessories. Damn it, Bobby. So go ahead and toss you there. Let's move. Ah, no. Things are moving. They aren't supposed to move. I've made several mistakes. There we go. Boom. The room gets moved here. There we go. Everything's in there now. Problem solved. Problem solved. So... Kurt says, I always knew Suristan Hank Hill. All right. What the NIFB don't understand is that it's not really American, Bobby. What they're doing isn't American. It's Nazi. It's bad. Ain't that right, Peggy? I'm not the best Hank Hill impersonator. Mobius in the chat says we need 666 live viewers. I agree. We definitely need 666 live viewers. But let's see here. Also, I apparently have messages that I need to look at. Will you be home in about 15 minutes? But streaming. There we are. But yeah, no, if we could get 6 viewers, that would be awesome. Share this around to everybody who can. Like, granted, we're already at a record. I've never been at 331 concurrent viewers. This is new for me. But
Gay.
Yeah, that's true.
That's
yeah.
right.
That's pretty safe.
Or
you can say gay without being called a homophobe, right?
Yeah.
context matters. Context actually really matters. I'm actually planning on doing a video on the whole like Steven Crowder getting demonetized thing, because this comes into the context matters conversation. Gay in itself is not a slur unless somebody is trying to weaponize it as a slur, in which case it can change. But if you're trying to say that somebody who is trans is gay by merit of them being trans and you being too lazy to use the word trans, that is also problematic language. So, whatevs.
Yeah.
Okay.
Or you can just call them homosexuals.
What?
My tongue slipped.
Homosexuals.
Homosexuals.
Homosexuals, man. Just say homo.
You guys okay with me speeding this up? Also, I'm not okay with calling people who are gay homos. I'm not, because that's another thing that's been routinely weaponized. So let's go ahead and speed this up to 1.5. It'll make them a little more bearable, right?
No, that's not. No.
What?
No, you can't do that, Kelly.
What do you mean? It's abbreviation.
No.
So abbreviations, I'm a transphobe? I mean a homophobe?
No, it just.
I can't say homo.
No, homosexual. There you go.
You can't give it abbreviation?
No, I think because it's.
Oh my god, it's not a... So an abbreviation is just a shortened form of a word or phrase, but it doesn't... Again, when something has been routinely used as a slur, you don't want to use it as a slur. Or you don't want to use it if it's been routinely used as a slur, because all you're effectively doing is just using the slur. And I get that we're all Homo sapien. I understand that. Again, context is key. Context is very important.
Okay, look here. Let's. So if I offended any homosexuals, I thought you could abbreviate that. Okay, look here. No homo. Now, of course, this is upset.
There's context where it's a little more okay, because now it's a joke. Now it's actually like a type of humor. Undertale Skelly Bros. I don't know about you, Cirrus, but I'm a proud homo. Well, I'm a proud Homo sapien. But thank you very much for the $2 donation, and be proud of who you are. What if you are gay? Can you use homo? Of course you can. There's nothing saying you can't use a word. It's just that words have meaning, or not. No, words have usages, and that usage changes by context. Here lately, I have heard more, and maybe it's just because I've been dealing with Steven Anderson so much. Maybe I'm just getting tired from him. But I have heard homo weaponized more as a slur than as a standard descriptor. As a descriptor, it's fine. But I know for a fact when the NIFB is using it, they're not using it as a descriptor, they're using it as a slur.
Gay people. Why? It's a free country. Why? Because they got the whole gay pride because they've been persecuted.
Well, we all have a different reason when it comes to pride.
Now, see, I think gay people are looking at it the wrong way. Straight people not having a parade because they've been persecuted.
Yeah.
They're just happy that they ain't you.
What? I'm not sure what I'm supposed to take from that. I'm not sure what I'm supposed to take from that. For you to be I'm happy that I'm not anybody else except myself, but that's not a pointed statement. But if I say I'm happy, if I'm talking to say Matt Powell, and I say I'm glad I'm not you, that's a pointed statement. That is a pointed fucking statement. And that's kind of what I just heard there. I don't know what I'm supposed to take from that, but that sounded yikesy. That sounded yikesy as fuck.
Just like you ain't happy to be us.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, I'm very happy to not be a conservative. But again, pointed language is interesting.
So if y'all can walk down the street, yeah, preach to 'em, man, right? I've seen the photos of the debauchery going on out there. If you can walk down the street, be a biological man. If you could be a biological man, walk down the street naked with your dick swinging, talking about I'm a real woman, then hey, I can walk.
Oh boy. Okay, so little fun lesson here. The word when you're because it wasn't understandable that the context here was talking about a trans woman, which, by the way, is just a woman. I'm not going to call a trans woman not a fucking woman. They're a woman, period. When you use the word biological man when referring to a trans woman, you are not referring to them by their actual gender, because are humans a social species? Premise 1. Yes, humans are a social species. Or humans are a social species. Premise 1. We refer to each other with social descriptors. Premise 2. Premise 3. Gender is a social descriptor. Trans woman is woman. Conclusion. We don't fucking call trans women biological males. That seems pretty fucking obvious. That seems pretty simple. Trans men are men. Trans women are women. And if this person wanted to say, for instance, that that's not the case, if they wanted to, then I'm going to do a thing here. Okay? We're going to do a thing. So, I'm going to do a Google search, and I'm making very certain that this Google search does not include or is not being shown on screen because of the stuff that can come from here. Okay. So, here's an example of a trans man. And if this person wants to say biological female, I guarantee you that because we are a social species, we are going to refer to things with social descriptors, they would not call someone who looks like this a female in any capacity. But he is a trans man. That is a trans man. Or he is a trans man. There is no world in which these people would not get that. Also, Restream chat seems to have broke, so we're going to fix it. There we go. Problem solved. Okay, cool. Now, when you see that, when you see something like that, you have to wonder, why would they use the word biological female? Because for one, this person probably doesn't understand jack shit about biology. So responding to this thing as biological makes no fucking sense, because that classification, I guarantee you, they don't even understand what they're going to say. If they want to say something like gametic, at least they would get more accurate. But it's still not the same thing. These guys probably also don't even understand what fucking Klinefelter syndrome is. But you know. Whatever. Jake 3D, gender is only part social, nature versus nurture. So I actually did have a debate with Essence of Thought on this. And that's still up on my channel, regardless of any disagreements that me or EOT might have. That conversation is still up on my channel. It's a very recent conversation. If you want my thoughts on that particular argument, because that is the argument that EOT brings to bear, my thoughts are in that video, and it's a live conversation between me and EOT. So, continuing.
Walk down the street saying I'm a real man with a picture of Jesus on it. Or I can walk down the street saying I'm a man and I know it. What's wrong with that, man? This ain't communist gay China. Yeah. You can be proud of being gay. Why can I be proud of being straight? Yeah, how about look at it this way? Yeah.
Because me and Bionic Dance got into this when we had our video. Not got into this as in we fought, got into this as in we got into this argument. Look at the context of why that pride is there. Okay? If you're proud of being straight because that means I'm not gay, which is what seems to be happening here, that's fucking yikesy as shit. That's that's pretty bad. But if you're proud to be gay because you've had years of people telling you should be ashamed of it, so you are being proud as a retroactive response to that, that is much better. That is something that I can agree with. Just like being an atheist. There's nothing about being an atheist that makes me proud. I have a different response to the answer, do you believe in God, than a theist. That's it. There's nothing for me to be proud of. However, I have been told by several people that I'm going to burn in hell, that I deserve to die, that I'm no worse than a Nazi, that I'm all these other things as entailments from me being an atheist. As a result, I am now what one would consider a proud atheist, because I've been told to be ashamed of that. It all comes down to where your pride is coming from. And here, I don't think the pride's coming from a good and honest place.
All right. The whole gay marriage thing. I remember when that came up. Oh, yeah, people was heated. People was upset. This is between a man and a woman. Yeah. And I still believe that, but y'all got the right to do it.
Wait. Let's try it again.
Oh, look at it this way. Yeah. All right. The whole gay marriage thing. I remember when that came up. Oh, yeah, people was heated. People was upset. This is between a man and a woman. Yeah. And I still believe that, but...
But why? What about a marriage means it should be that it should be between a man and a woman specifically? What about a marriage entails that? And before I get that argument, because I've heard it given to me before, I believe it was actually Mike Winger who said this one to me when we were having our debate. Before you tell to me that, a man and a woman can procreate, first of all, let's make sure that we're stepping outside of the territory. Says that yes, if there is a cis man and there is a trans man, some of the pieces may still be there that allows the trans man to get pregnant. Completely understandable. That is sidestepped in this issue. I'm sidestepping that for a second here to focus just on cis people for this argument, because it gets very complicated very fast when you step out of the cis zone for here. Cis man and cis woman get together. They can get married. Cis man and cis man get together. They can get married. What's different between these two things? If your argument's going to be ability to procreate, then I'm going to say, okay, so let's say that the cis woman is infertile. Should they be allowed to get married? The answer unanimously is going to be, of course, why not? That's not something she could control. That applies to gay people too. There isn't an argument against gay marriage. There isn't one. People pretend that there is, but the logical conclusions of their arguments lead to inconsistencies. And when your argument leads to inconsistencies, we have problems. So, again, this weird paradigm that gay marriage should not be allowed, or that gay marriage is not okay in some reason or some respect, I don't get it. I don't.
Y'all got the right to do it now. Yeah, you got the right. You got the right. So that's the way I look at it from a straight guy. The gay people can do a gay parade. Just like y'all seen straight people say they can get married. I want to get married too. Yeah. If y'all gay, y'all can have a parade. Hell, I'm straight. I want a parade. Equal.
Again, where is the need for this parade coming from? Their parade came from persecution. You even said that. Theirs came from being persecuted. They are celebrating being able to be out proud and not in the closet. Where's yours coming from? Bionic Dan's in the chat, but sir, is homosexual marriage is creepy. I mean, if I were to get married tomorrow, it would be creepy. And I'm het.
Well, opportunity. What happened to diversity, man? How about tolerance? Yeah. Another thing. Could you imagine? Because I seen in Target, they selling gay pride clothes. Yeah. But they're meant for like little kids, like 2, 3 years old. That's kind of weird to me. 2, 3.
How?
Yeah, it was in Target. It was in Target. Babies. Now imagine this. Imagine this, everybody. I can understand you're being pride, you're gay, you've been persecuted. I understand all that. Yeah. Right? But why in Target you got this on little toddler and kids' clothing? What if I was to switch that around? Let's say instead of having gay pride and the gay colors and all this stuff, the gay kid clothes, what if you put on that white pride?
Again, look at where it's coming from. Gay pride. Let's say that we have a couple of husbands who have adopted a child, and they give them one of these pieces of clothing, one of these articles of clothing, and it says gay pride, or it says LGBTQ pride, or it says anything like that. What do we have when we have this child in this garb? Well, the parent is communicating through the garb that is on the child that pride, that normalization of a minority group. That these people are to be normalized and humanized, not demonized. Do we have such a problem in the United States for white people? Do we have a normalization or a humanization problem in the United States on the whole? I'm not talking about individual bad actors, because if I want to find some individual bad actors who have things to say about white people, I can go to Tumblr, I can find them, it's not going to be hard. I'm not talking about individual actors, I'm talking about people as a group. You don't see it in anywhere near the capacity that you do for people who are oppressing minority groups. If you're in America, if you're white, you are the majority. You are not the oppressed group. So I don't see why they think this thing is weird. Either these people are willfully ignorant or stupid.
Don't go there. Don't even go there. You can't do that, man. You can't do that. Why? Why? You can have black people walk down the street, Black Lives Matter. Why can't I walk down the street with a All Lives Matter sign?
Okay. So let's ignore the fact that there has been some yikesy stuff that came from BLM. Let's ignore that for just a second. BLM was a movement in response to violence against them or oppression against them. All Lives Matter was a counter-response to Black Lives Matter. It would be akin, again, there's yikesy shit that happened as a result of BLM. I don't ignore that. But your argument here is akin to saying cancer matters, cancer is a problem, and then you run in, like I say that, and you run in to go, no, all diseases matter. We need to be dealing with all of them. I didn't say that we didn't. I just said that these ones matter as well. What the hell is wrong with you? It's not a terribly difficult thing to understand. This is not something that's hard to grasp your head around, yet apparently there's some people who don't get it.
Yeah. Why can't I walk down the street with a Blue Lives Matter sign? You like that? Like white pride. It's not racist for a person.
Again, the Blue Lives Matter thing was a response to BLM. White pride is a response to gay pride. These things have different contexts. They are not the same.
It's white. They have white pride. Yeah. It's a double standard, man. It's a double standard. Like I can have black pride.
It's only a double standard if these things are coming from the exact same. This is a great frame to pause them on, by the way. This is a wonderful frame. This is a frame that would make a great thumbnail. But no, it's a double standard if these two things are in fact equal, yet are being treated unequally. If, for instance, we have a black person. This person cannot control being black. They cannot control being an African American here in the United States. And we are living 60 years ago. And this person is dealing with Jim Crow laws. This person is being oppressed by Jim Crow laws, and they cannot control the fact that they were born into being oppressed by Jim Crow laws. Let's take more than 60 years, I think, actually. Don't quote me on 60 years. Now let's take a group of gay people. They can't help the fact that they're gay, and they are being oppressed by legislation that either allows them to be fired from work. By the way, if you're in a right-to-work state, a employer can fire you for any reason. It just matters how they do the paper trail. That's all that matters. An employer can fire you for being gay as long as they don't state the reason as you were gay. It's a thing that can and has happened. Anywho, but if you are if you have legislation against you, saying, like, for instance, you can't get married, as an example, you can't help these things. These two things are good parallels. These two things are great parallels. And I've used these things as parallels before. Because these are things of groups that are being oppressed that cannot control what they were born into that led to this oppression. In America, there's nothing intrinsically about being white or about being straight that causes you to be oppressed by legislation or that causes you to be oppressed by the social majority. You may be oppressed and be white, but it is not by entailment of you being white. Therefore, having a pride reaction or having a reaction in this way does not make sense.
It's kind of crazy for me to walk around black pride. You know what I'm saying? I'm not proud. Well, it's the whole prosecution thing. It's the whole victimhood. I can do this because I've been a victim. I can wear black pride. But you can't forget, man. White people are slaves too, man. I'm black, right?
Yes, that's actually true. Specifically, the Irish were slaves as well. In America, there were not more Irish slaves than black slaves. That seems to be a common myth that has been propagated. But there were, in fact, slaves in that capacity as well. They were not the only slaves. But there's a bit of a difference here. And if you look at historical documentation on the slave trade, primarily, especially when it comes to law regulations, you have African Americans who were mistreated. Well, they weren't even called African Americans then because they weren't given citizenship. The situation's much worse there. On BT Dubs, we have celebrations for Irish people. Just throwing it out there.
I would never walk around with black pride shirt because I'm prideful that I'm alive. I gotta take pride in that shit, but being black, that's a given. I'm proud of who I am. Yeah. I don't even know why anybody would wear black pride or white pride. That's just a given. Yeah. I'm proud of who I am. And being black is just a minuscule part of that. Yeah, now, let's get back on this game.
Correct. Especially because, let's be fair here, race realism is a problem. So if your identity is tied to your race in any way, that's a bit of an issue. And if it's tied in a significant way, that's even more of a problem. This is why we get people like JF, who's a white ethno-nationalist, or Psychopath Atheist, who's a black ethno-nationalist. How do we get these people in these extreme positions? Well, race realism is the first step.
Yeah, straight pride. Look, y'all want to get married like straight people? That's your right. I'm all for that. Y'all can have a parade.
But you're not for that. But you're not. You literally just said beforehand that you don't agree with it. So you're not all for that. This is for people who are versed in philosophy in any way, shape, or form. This is the problem with the is-ought dilemma. This is actually a concept in philosophy called the is-ought problem or the is-ought dilemma. If you want further reading on this, go ahead and look it up. There's a shit ton of stuff to pour through on the SCP on trying to grab an ought from an is. If you say, I support your right for this because legislation currently allows for you to have this right, you're supporting it for the wrong fucking reasons. Here's a reason why the is-ought dilemma functions as a problem. The is-ought dilemma means you cannot derive an ought from an is. I cannot derive an ought statement. I ought operate in this way from an is, such as legislation. The state of society is this, therefore I ought do this. No, you derive ises from oughts. For instance, we ought to treat all people as equal. Therefore, we ought create legislation that allows for this. Therefore, we ought abolish slavery in the United States through legislation, creating an is, which is the legislation, slavery is illegal. Slavery is no longer legalized. We have created an is from an ought. When you try to derive an ought from an is, you find this awkward situation where you get to say, well, slavery is legal, therefore we ought do slavery. But that doesn't work. And if you have two brain cells to rub together, you understand why that doesn't work. This is the crux of the is-ought dilemma. If your reason for supporting another's right to marry is because the current legislation allows you to do so, that is the wrong fucking reason. So, I don't know. It's stuff that sounds really simple. Like, when you break it down, it's really simple, but some people don't seem to understand it.
because you're gay, I'm all for that. But don't get pissed because straight people don't have a parade too. Yeah. That don't make no sense. And like I said, it's a bunch of debauchery. You go to a gay pride parade? I ain't gonna lie, man. I'm not gonna lie. It's been about 10 years ago. You bumped into it though. You didn't go. You was like, well, let's go check it out, man. No, that's not how it happened. We was there, and he's like, what's this going on? Yeah, I went in there. Gay pride parade. Yeah, gay pride parade. We walked up. We was like, man, this is crazy as hell out here. I saw some circle jerks. You ain't seen no circle jerks. You just saw puddles of semen. It was evidence of a circle jerk. Listen here, man. That shit is wild. You got dudes walk around with their penises out. You got women walking around with strap-ons with their boobs out. Yeah. And y'all want to make a hissy fit over straight people believing in being straight and having their own parade, and you say that's wrong? After all.
Okay, again, that's not... Also, for one, this is not how all pride parades function. There are some pride parades that are a little more... what's the word for it? A little more open than others. There are some that are a little more restricted. It just depends on your region. So this argument for all parades functioning this way doesn't work.
Oh, look at it this way. Without straight people, your gay ass wouldn't be here. Yeah, so watch y'all. I'll be all for it. Just like...
Oh, my God. What the fuck did I just hear? Okay. The stupid argument. Being straight is something to be proud of because without straight people, the gay people wouldn't be here. Really? 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 Is that a statement that even merits response? And that look at the camera right there. It's just perfect. The aesthetics here are just excellent. 10 out of 10 excellent. Oh my gosh. Okay. That silliness out of the way. We have another conversation that needs to be had. This one a little worse. Just a little worse. And yeah, it gets worse because these ones are just acting like clowns. They're acting like clowns in front of a camera. This is just a group of people doing that. That's neat. Whatever. No, where we actually find some problem, some huge issue, is this. So, this guy right here, Pastor Grayson Fritz, has been in the news recently. And this was sent to me by a friend of mine. But this person has been in the news recently because they have a very interesting response to pride and everything else. Which of course, all this is just interesting responses to that. But if you'll allow me a moment, because there are some timestamp stuff that I want to make sure that I've got here. There we are. Okay, so first thing here, and I want to thank Godless Engineer for this. Godless Engineer has timestamped this. Timestamped a couple things in here that's going to help me navigate this a little bit. So if you haven't subscribed to Godless Engineer, please do so. He's also a wonderful person. Thank you for that, GE. But let's click here. So we're starting at the 23-minute mark, not because we want to get rid of context, but because we want to make sure that we are going at a decent click. So let's start with Pastor Grayson Fritz, which BT dubs, this guy used to be a private investigator or a detective, one of the two. The guy used to be involved in law enforcement in some way. I would need to do a little more research on this guy in order to figure out where those actual things are. If somebody in chat knows, then let me know.
You know, could you see some guy at the grocery store checking some woman out and be like, I know what you're thinking, you're under arrest? There would be no men in here, folks. I hate to tell you, at one point or another in your life, a man has lusted after a woman, and we'd all be dead, wouldn't we? There'd be like 0 men on the earth, on planet Earth. So not all sin was to be punished by the law. But it doesn't mean it wasn't a sin. But there were sins that were to be punished by the law. Adultery, physical adultery, was one of them. Let me give you some others. Murder, theft, rape, kidnapping, adultery. These things would be...
You already said adultery, Mr. Grayson Fritz. You already said that. That was one you already said. Maybe you should do this with notes. It helps. Atheist rationale in there. He's employed by the Knox County Sheriff's Department. Ooh, awkward.
Punished by the government, and not the theft, but the others. Murder, rape, kidnapping, adultery. They were punishable by death.
Okay, cool. So, let's do a thought experiment here. Theft. Aaron, using a script is a sin. I mean, I don't use a script, so I guess that makes sense. But let's do a thing here. So I can understand taking the stance that rape punishable by death. I'm not pro death penalty, but I can understand that stance. I can, because you are ruining another person's life forever. Therefore, taking a life seems to be a logical response there. Okay, I get that. Bill in the chat, you said adultery twice. I like adultery. Okay, so I can understand that. That's we're going to go ahead and step away from that one because I can see a logical response to that. Now, let's take theft. Just theft. We're not talking about like the difference between shoplifting and Panic Dance in the chat. I can only support death penalty for the crime of being William Shatner. Oof. But let's say we take theft. I have a thing of electrical tape here. And if we're calling all theft is punishable by death, then Renita, goddammit, Knox County, stop embarrassing me in front of cool people. I hope Raz is doing better. She's had to have some peroxide in her ear. There's a bit of an infection there, and the heart rate's not doing terribly excellent. But we're trying. We are trying to manage that part. So let's say that I have a plumbing problem. I desperately need to take care of my plumbing problem, but I have no money. I have none. So I go to the hardware store. And to prevent thousands of dollars in property damage that I cannot afford because I'm poor, I go and steal this roll of electrical tape. Probably $1 or $2. But it's the choice between this and getting food for my family, so I have to go ahead and make that theft. The conversation could even be about food for the family, stealing food for your family. But I'm making it about the electrical tape because I happen to have electrical tape on hand. Don't ask why. Anywho, boom. So, I steal that electrical tape because I don't want to have thousands of dollars of damage. Should that be punishable by death? Is that a thing that we should punish by death? This person is trying to support his family and trying to prevent thousands of dollars of property damage that he can't afford while trying to make sure that his children are fed. Should this be punishable by death? Well, any sane thinking person would say no. Also, we have a new bit of fan art that has come in from Little Rabbit. Thank you very much. And this is Furry Surus seemingly about to knock some sense into somebody. Angry Furry Surus knocking sense into people. I see that. So, we would agree, I would hope, that this is not something where death is a wonderful response. It's not a good response to this. So let's say adultery, right? Okay, so adultery, as viewed in the Bible, I believe required marriage, correct? Let's take that just as a general. Adultery, voluntary sexual intercourse between a married person and a person who is not his spouse. Okay, cool. So, married. So, you have a spouse. You two are married. You find that your spouse is abusive. So, you try to leave the relationship. Let's say you guys have been married for 3 or 4 years. You can't annul this. This is something you have to go through the divorce thing. So, you're sitting there in divorce court. You're trying to go through all this stuff. Let's say you're in a no-fault state. If you're in a no-fault state, that means that you cannot say certain. There are certain things that cannot. Oh no, not no fault. No. It's not in a no-fault state. It's if you're not in a no-fault state. Sometimes there are criteria that need to be met for you to have your divorce, if memory serves. So, let's say that you are trying to get out of this abusive relationship. So you move out of the house. Effectively, you two are no longer together, but the marriage is still there. The marriage documents are still there. and this person refuses to work with you. You're going through this divorce for a couple years. By the way, I have a best friend who actually went through this. I'm not pulling a hypothetical out of my ass. I know a person who went through this scenario. But you can't get your divorce because this person is being uncooperative. Throughout this, you find another partner. This partner supports you. This partner is helpful. This partner is good for your mentality. Is this a situation that merits killing you? You who left an abusive relationship, and the only reason you cannot get out of the marriage itself is because your abuser is being manipulative. You are committing adultery. Should you be put to death? If you're a sane person, you would say no. If you're a logical person, you would say no. But yet here, we have an example of somebody who's saying the Bible says that these things should lead to death.
Okay? You would be arrested for committing murder, for committing rape, for committing adultery. You would be arrested for that. And they would bring you before the judges. You would have a court hearing. And if they sentenced you, they would kill you. These were capital crimes. Now, capital crimes are kind of foreign to us in 2019 because we don't kill anybody, you know?
What? What? No. Hold on. States that have capital punishment. Okay. States were the... Okay, so there are currently 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. Seems to be 20 or 21, depending on if I've missed a small district. States where the death penalty is outlawed. The majority of America still has the death penalty. This is not a foreign concept in 2019. This person is in Tennessee. Tennessee has the death penalty. There's a death penalty institute in Tennessee. Capital punishment is still practiced in Tennessee. It's still practiced here in Georgia. How is this a foreign concept to you? You worked with law enforcement. What? Oh my gosh. Chronic Insomniac says that rape isn't punishable by death in the Bible. You know, there are instances where it is, and there are instances where it isn't. There are instances where it leads to you having to pay a bride price and take the daughter from the father, and there are instances where the woman is married, and therefore you can instigate death as a result, which means that the woman has to be property of somebody, and you have to violate that property, meaning that you have to have committed a property crime like theft for you to be punished. So there are instances where you're correct, and there are instances where you're wrong, but the problem is that you're wrong not because the Bible is a moral arbiter, but because the Bible equates women with property. At least in the Old Testament. So, oh boy, this is an interesting scenario so far. Sirs, maybe by we he meant the church from Bionic Dance. I doubt it. That's a really charitable read.
You could be some kind of pedophile weirdo or whatever, and we'll just try to habilitate you and make you even more devious and evil and then turn you loose on society.
Wait, what? Tennessee. Let's see here. The potential punishment for the conviction is quite severe. Tennessee. First of all, in Tennessee, you do have to register as a sex offender when you do that. So that's an obvious thing. So let's see here. So he says pedophile weirdo, but let's see here. Nashville, Tennessee, as of 2018, there was a pedophile who happened to rape and murder a girl of 7, and they were executed as a result of this. Now, granted, there's murder as well on top of that, but I think that would constitute somebody being a pedophile weirdo, if that is the working word that this person wants to use. So, no, we actually do have instances where this was capitally punished. I have no freaking clue where this person gets their information from. If they're the type of person that says I'm a man of only one book, then yeah, no. Also, there's the correction there, child molester. I do agree with that, Advanced Slam. I should use the more functional definition, child molester, because that means somebody who has perpetrated the act and therefore deserves the punishment. Because the mere attraction is something that we do not legally persecute. But the actual act is something that we persecute. So thank you for correcting me on that. That is correct. The word he used, however, was not that word. So I used his word. My mistake, though. My mistake for that. What else do we have here? Abstract. Okay, I'm not going to worry about that. I've already found the thing for my case anyway, so I'm fine. Speaks says I'm going to go with he's making that up. I would probably go with that as well. I would go with that as well. He's probably making this up. He's at least not got some information. Some of his ducks are not in a row.
But they would be punished by the government. You get Christians that say, well, I think homosexuality is a sin, but I don't think it should be punished, by the government. Well, guess what? You're so hardcore. It's a sin, really? It was a sin. It is a sin. And it was punished by civil government. You understand that? It was punished by civil government. We saw that in Leviticus 20:13. And I think it's funny in Leviticus 20:13, then God doesn't say they shall be put to death. He says they shall surely be put to death. Okay? Just kind of driving it home that the death penalty for someone being a homosexual.
And now we have the thought crime part of this. There actually is a functional difference between somebody saying punishment for engaging in homosexual acts and punishment for being a homosexual. Punishment for being a homosexual is no different than the idea of like Orwellian thought crime, because you're punishing somebody for being something as opposed to doing something. We don't punish people for being a thing. We punish them for doing acts that are harmful. At least that's what we should do.
One of those sins that should be punished by the government. Do you know sodomy was punished in the United States up until 1962? Do you know that?
Yeah. And we punished people for being born black up until recently as well. They were called Jim Crow laws. Would you do you have a conversation you want to make about that one? Probably not. That'd be more icky, right? That'd be harder to justify.
1962 in Illinois. That was the first state to remove criminal penalties for consensual sodomy. As of March 2019, a couple of months ago, 16 states have either not yet formally repealed their laws against consensual activity, I'm trying to think of a nice word for the kids, among consenting adults. So there's still laws on the books out here.
Okay, so what type of fucking idiot do you have to be where it's okay for you to tell children about murdering somebody, but telling people about relations that people in fact have is the icky thing? The icky thing is the murder, not the consensual loving relationship between two adults. The murder is the icky thing. The murder is the thing with lasting implications. I don't understand why we live in a society where if the pastor says the word sex, The congregation has to fly up their hands and go, no, he said debauchery. But if the pastor says murder, the pastor says, the extinguishing of human life, this is okay. That's fine. That's okay. I don't get that. I understand that is a current societal standard. It's easier for a child to, it's more acceptable for us to introduce a child to the concept of death than the concept of sexuality or the concept of relations. I understand that. I understand that's a societal standard. I just don't understand. I don't get why extinguishing a human life is something that is more acceptable for us to talk about to children than this. Like, I don't. Like, fun thought experiment, find a parent and ask them when they think is an appropriate age to have the birds and the bees conversation with their child. Then have a conversation about when they think that explaining the concept of death is appropriate to their child. I'm fairly certain that the concept of death is something that they're going to be more comfortable with explaining earlier, even though procreation is what had to happen for them to come into the world. And on top of that, they're going to see people outside holding hands, kissing, doing any number of things that signify they're in a relationship. The child may want some understanding of why that is significant, why this is the thing that happens. Just as they're going to be introduced to the concept of death, possibly earlier in life than they might be comfortable with. I know I was. I had to deal with several of my family members dying back to back. One of the reasons I don't smoke and drink, they were all dead because of lung and liver cancer. But I don't know. Rant. There's my rant. There's my rant for the video. I should probably see what's going on in here. Boom.
In 2019. Nobody's going to enforce them, though, right? So to say that I disagree with Leviticus 20:13, if I asked your average Christian, is the Bible your authority? Yes, the Bible's my authority. What about this? Well, that's Old Testament. And then I can show them, hey, it's not been repealed. Do you agree with this?
Okay, at least he's correct. So I understand the concept of the new and old covenant. I also understand that in response to old laws, like Levitical laws, Jesus did not say he was here to usurp them. He said he was here to fulfill them, meaning that these laws may or may not, depending on your interpretation, still be applicable for the modern-day Christian. I get that argument, but at the same time, you have to understand here that when you put your holy book that was written, several thousand years ago as your moral arbiter, do understand that morality and ethics have this nasty habit of progressing throughout humanity. Look at what is considered standard and moral throughout human nature, or throughout human history. Over the past 500 years, over the past 100, over the past 50 years, what is considered moral and ethical has changed as we have gained more understanding of social issues, of issues that come with being human. As we understand these things, the concepts of morality end up being very relative and very fluid. So when you have an objective standard that will not and cannot change, there's going to come a point where society is going to either drag it kicking and screaming forward, or you're going to desperately try to drag society kicking and screaming backwards. And I think that's what we're seeing on display here.
What are they going to say? Because if they say, yes, I disagree with that, I don't think that we should be enforcing that, then guess what else you disagree with? Burning your kids to a false god, because that's in there. Laying with an animal, because that's in there.
No. Fuck that. That's like somebody saying that if I disagree with Trump, then that means that even when Trump says something correct, I have to disagree with it because I said I disagree with Trump. Trump says the sky is blue. Oh, well, you can't say that because you said you disagree with Trump. That means you can't say the sky is blue because Trump said that. No, that's not how that works. I can take nuance. I could agree with individual parts of your book without agreeing with the book on the whole. I can. As a Christian, you can do that too. Because as a Christian, the criteria for you being a Christian is not following the Bible to a T. It's believing in Christ. It's accepting him as your Savior. You don't have to follow Levitical law to be a Christian. You don't have to agree with the Bible's cosmology, which means you don't have to be a flat earther. Because in Job, we have several passages that are flat earth cosmology. You don't have to do those things to be a Christian. You don't. And in fact, actually, because of Jesus' stance on the Pharisees, I would assume that it would make more sense if Jesus, in fact, is God. If that is the case. I'm an atheist. I don't think so. But let's say, for sake of argument, that it is. I would think that because of how Jesus treated the Pharisees, we understand already how he feels about people adhering to scrolls and tradition. And that someone like Jesus would rather Christians act morally and ethically as opposed to looking at the Bible and saying, that must be ethical because it's in the Bible. No, bullshit. I don't accept that.
Christ redeemed us from the law. Bestiality is good. You are...
That is not what that entails, you dumb fuck. That is not what that entails.
Saying the same thing when you say that Leviticus 20:13 should just be abolished.
No, that is not what you're saying. So, for instance, as an example, the Affordable Health Care Act in the United States, most people would agree, the current version, the version that we received, has been a non-functional entity. Because it has certain things in it like a fine for not being able to afford health care. Which is stupid. So, if I say I disagree with several instances in which the Affordable Health Care Act has been applied, someone cannot then say, oh, well, I agree with you because I don't think we should have universal health care. That's not what I fucking said. I can say that I'm fine with some of the stuff in Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, and also say that I fucking can't stand Leviticus. This isn't a hard thing to understand. The world is not black and white. The world operates in shades of gray. The only time where it is pragmatic for us to believe that the world operates in black and white is in times of war, when the shades of gray can prevent you from doing your job. And even then, I don't think we need war. I don't think there's a reason we should even have it anymore. I don't think any side should have to resort to violence. I would rather we all just have countries fucking play League of Legends against each other, and the winning country gets to input legislation, I guess. Fucking make esports the new war. There's less bloodshed. Somewhat less bloodshed. So, when I hear somebody try to tell me that I have to agree with all of it or none of it, I disagree wholeheartedly.
Just because you want it to. Because you like watching Queer Eye for the Straight Guy. Because you like watching all the Disney movies. Because you like watching all of these freaks on TV. You understand?
Okay, so one, remember, this person has worked in law enforcement. Okay, just remember that. Secondly, the fact that you can scream freaks doesn't change the fact that they're not freaks. You could scream it all day long. I'm sure there are several things that you have screamed when your wife was pegging you from behind, and it didn't change the reality of anything. It didn't change the ontological value of anything. By the way, your wife pegging you didn't change the fact that you were straight. Okay? Just throwing that out there. Also, to try to say that the reason that a straight ally would be okay with somebody being gay strictly because they like Disney movies is about the most uncharitable and stupid take I've heard in the past. How the fuck long have I been alive? About that long.
So you don't want any persecution. You don't want anybody to think that you're a weirdo, and you want to try to go soft on the homos, right? So you're like,
Oh, trust me. Trust me. When you act like this, you make them all soft. Everyone.
oh, I disagree with that. Then you disagree with the rest of the chapter. So
That's not how that works. Also, Aura echoes in the chat. Damn it, man. I was in the middle of drinking my soda, and now my monitor is covered with orange soda. I'm sorry, Aura echoes. I'm sorry that made you spill fire soda. So. Oh my god. Anywho. Moving on.
either admit it or shut up. Amen. One of the two. You understand me?
I would love to have a conversation with this person. Actually, you're in Tennessee. Pastor Grayson, my friend, my man. You're a state neighbor to me. We could have a conversation. In fact, actually, if any of you know this person, if any of you know him, I would love if you sent this video to him. And also letting him know that I am extending the offer to a conversation. Of course, after hearing the things that I've said in this video, he might not actually think that a conversation with me would yield any fruit, but I think it would be fun. Don't harass the person, though. Don't like spam this guy. Please don't. There's nothing to be gained from that. I would like to have an amicable conversation with this person. See if maybe, possibly, I could change their mind on some things. Maybe I could. Or I could fail miserably, and it will at least have been worth the effort. But the dude's like, what, 3 hours drive? 3 hours drive? Faithless Forum was 15 hours away. I can handle a 3-hour drive. Renata in the chat says, if you can visit Grayson, can you please have a meetup over here too? I might actually start trying to do some public meetups. I'm not exactly sure on the whens and some of the other stuff, mainly because I'm poor. So like my ability to organize meetups is limited by funding. And I don't want to have them at my house because like, one, it's small. Like I got it, I own it, that's cool. But like it's also small. Two, giving my address to a whole bunch of people is not a good idea. All it takes is one bad faith actor. I love all of you guys, but all it takes is one bad faith actor. But I would not mind organizing a meetup at some point, somewhere. So there's that. Gaelic Knox, sir, a Southern Hemisphere meetup? When teleportation technology is finalized and functional, then I would love to do that. But teleportation technology is not functional enough yet.
One of the two. Because all of those things are in there. How can you cherry pick one verse, Christian, and say that I don't agree with that verse just because it's not popular?
Hey, at least... So again, it's not because it's not popular that most Christians might cherry pick as you use that verse out of the Bible. It might be because they have standards, morals, ethics. They might have any of these things, which you seem to not have, awkwardly. But here we are.
I'm not going to do that. The Bible says that they're worthy of death. The Bible says that the government, somebody stands up, oh, I'm LGBTQ. Here's how it should work. It shouldn't work where we go out.
Oh, he's going to tell us how it should work. Okay, let's hear it.
Out and we enforce the laws because the Bible says the powers that be are ordained of God, and God has instilled the power of civil government to send the police in 2019 out to these LGBT freaks and arrest them and have a trial for them, and if they are convicted, then they are to be put to death. Do you understand that?
Okay, buddy. Okay, let's figure out what has an LGBTQ person, by merit of their existence, done to warrant death. Not even death. To warrant a criminal investigation. Not even that. To warrant a police officer even stopping near them. To warrant the call. To warrant that. What? Also, Godless Lady in the chat, if you can give me the timestamp for where it gets worse, I would love to skip to that, because this is already bad. How does it get worse than advocating murder? How does it get worse than advocating government execution? How do you get worse than that? But no, like Pastor Grayson, my dude, how do you come to the conclusion that they are the ones that should be killed by the government and not you for pseudo-weaponizing your congregation against them? How? How do you get to a point in your career where you think that that is the apt thing to do? That's the apropos way to go about this. I don't know how we get there. I don't know how we get to that part where we get to that awkward stage where it's okay to advocate for these people to be killed, but it's not okay for them to exist.
It is a capital crime that should be carried out by our government. Not Christians, unless you're a policeman.
What? 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 No. Okay, so, hold on. Let me get this straight. Buddy, I'm not even going to call you pal and friend anymore. That's getting really fucking awkward. Okay, so, let's figure this out. You think that it's okay, and I hope this isn't a straw man of your position. I hope not. But you think that it's okay for a Christian, because of their religion, because of their religious doctrine, to go out and execute somebody who is LGBTQ if they happen to have the power to do so by merit of being a police officer. Plushy Cirrus, what do you think about this? Well, there we are. How do we get to this stage? How do we get to the point where you are yelling at your congregation that if any of them happen to be police officers, and you happen to work with law enforcement yourself, so I guess this means that you are saying that you're taking upon yourself the ability to murder these people. So what you're saying is you should be arrested. That's what you're saying. That's what you're doing. That's what you've done, actually. Okay. Oh boy. Let's look at a thing. Let's look at a fun thing. I would like to look at something fun. Is that okay? Is that all right? Because, like, let's do a Google search. That is not okay. So I need to do here. Why am I searching on Bing? What the hell am I doing on Bing? Why would I even have Bing up? Why? Okay, let's. So. Alright. So, Knox News. Knox County DA looking into detective's church sermon calling for execution of LGBTQ people. Story highlights. A Knox County sheriff delivered a church sermon calling for the killing of LGBTQ people. The detective had made multiple references during the sermon to his law enforcement role. The Knox County sheriff, Tom Spangler, said the detective asked to take a buyout offer and is not currently on duty. That's good. Not the buyout, but the not currently on duty. LGBTQ advocates stressed that rhetoric like the detectives can lead to real violence. Yes, it can. This is the concept of stochastic terrorism. If you want to do some reading, there's a concept. You're not going to find it under the word stochastic. You're going to find it under the word lone wolf. Look up the sociological research on lone wolf terrorism, because people like this are the people who actually lead to that type of terrorism, that type of violence, that type of attempts at mass murder, those types of shootings. All of that stems from shit like this being normal. It's the concept behind a stochastic model to violence. So here we are. Literal radicalization. Yes, lone wolf terrorism is the model that is utilized for us to figure out the radicalization of a human being. So, the reason you're not going to find it under stochastic is that word is new. It's about like 2017-ish new. It's a new word that is being used within the frame of sociological research. Lone wolf terrorism is where you're going to find most of the research on it. I know because I've looked into this. Thank you to Callan in the chat, by the way, who is a sociologist and has provided me with documentation on this that has helped in my research. So thank you for that. Thank you for that. Because it really helps. It really helps whenever I need to make a point and I can provide scientific literature that supports it. It helps. Knowing the terminology helps as well. So here we are. Oh, boy. So. Too lazy for this, says in the chat. That would be great to, like, not die. Yeah, no, I agree. Not dying is good. Not dying is cool. Of course, eventually you have to. I have to as well. It's just a matter of the fact that being a human being means ultimately I'm going to have to expire. But, you know, there is that. There is that. But how much more of this do we have to go? Technically, his sermon's like an hour long still. But I'm going to see how much more is in this one point.
You know what I mean? If you're a policeman, then you know what? It should be your responsibility to carry these things out. Unless you're a government official, it should be your responsibility to carry those things out.
Does this man not know that there are cops who are gay? Does he not understand that there are law enforcement individuals who are also gay? There are law enforcement individuals who are trans. There are law enforcement individuals who are lesbians. Genderqueer law enforcement individuals. There are non-binaries in law enforcement. There are polyamorous people in law enforcement. Does he not understand that these people exist in law enforcement? He doesn't get this. He doesn't understand this. I don't. Heck. I agree with Aaron Bennett in the chat. Heck. Your boredness. Do you honestly think that he knows anyone outside of his bubble? Of course not. You see, I want to agree with you. I want to. But if he works in law enforcement, he's working with the public every day. Every single day. So if he's working with the public every single day, I can only assume that at least on some level he's met these people. He's met people like this. What is he... If I go down the street, I might find 2 or 3 people who are gay out of a crowd of 20 or 30, and I might never even know. It will never affect me. And it will never affect anybody else. And yet apparently this is okay. It's okay. Your boredness says, and you can see how much the public has rubbed off on him. I think this guy needs to rub off a lot. He's got some pent-up stress, actually. I think that's where we are. I think that if Pastor Grayson Fritz were to rub a few off, maybe he might be he might not be so uptight, and he might not be advocating for genocide. Just saying. Just saying. I say that instead of he needs to get laid, because I recognize that subjecting another human being to this man's physical body might not be apropos. Cauldron, thank you so much for the $20 in chat. He is trying to lay the groundwork for the dystopia he wants to live in.
He's trying to lay the groundwork for the dystopia he wants to live in.
Thank you very much, Robot Lady. That is, in fact, what I said. No, I agree. I can agree with that. I can agree. It's if you are when you're speaking to the public. This is coming from somebody who speaks to the public, unless you guys don't consider yourself like public. I don't know, but I consider myself somebody who does speak to the public, at least in some measure or form. Hell, I did it at Faithless Forum. I walked and got on a podium and spoke. But when you're speaking to the public, there's always going to be a purpose. Your purpose might be to change the minds of others. It might be to reinforce the opinions of others. It could be any number of things. For me, I would like to change the mind of some people who have toxic ideologies. And I don't say religion for that because I recognize that there are people who their ideology is not tied to their religion. Sometimes their religion is just part of their culture. That's fine. But if you have an ideology of any kind that involves the necessity for genocide of any person who is not you, or even you, if it includes you, that's also problematic. When you find yourself being that person with that ideology, you're the person who I want to change the mind of. You're the person with the illogical stance who I would like to expose as being illogical, not because I want to call myself smarter than you. I don't think I am. I'm a fucking idiot. I'm a moron. I was barely able to pass math. I am not smart. But I also think that you don't have to be necessarily smart to understand inconsistencies in logic. I don't. I think that these things can be understood by practically every human being, regardless of intelligence, because I certainly don't have any. So, when I speak to these people, I would like to change their mind. Either I would like to change their mind, or I would like to show the inconsistencies in their argument to multiple people so that they can understand why this one person whom I might not be able to influence, whom I might not be able to change, is wrong, and they don't fall down the same rabbit hole. I would hope that. But anyway, we do have another bit of fan art. This one is from Bionic Dance, and it is my avatar being quite happy with circumstances, going, whee! Okay, I'll stop. We're going to go ahead and get you set down to size. Can you go? You can go here. Boom. Sandwich. I can make you a little bigger. There you go. There you are, Happy Cirrus. Thank you for that, Bionic Dance. And thank you to everybody who has donated via Super Chat. Holy crap. You guys are awesome. You guys are the reason why I do this. Not just the people who are donating money, obviously. Like, all of you who are watching, period. But the donations do help. Like, they literally allow me to go eat. They're the reason I'm allowed to afford food. So thank you. That's awesome.
But if you're a farmer or landscaper or work at McDonald's, that's not your responsibility.
Shouldn't be any responsibility. There should not be a group of the government that is just like, this is the police force that we send out to kill gay people. That's not a thing that should exist.
No different than if you've seen a murderer out here.
Elizabeth in the chat, hey, my dude, did you mean that if anyone is killed by the government, it should be that guy, not gay people, not the government should kill that guy? I don't think the government should kill this person. No, that's not what I'm saying. What I am saying, though, is that when you advocate for violence, when you advocate, not just violence, because the definition of violence can be very, very skitty. When you advocate for murder, killing, I do think that there should be some type of legal repercussion after you do so. If we are going to have a government that's consistent in that way. The legal repercussion here may just be that he has to go to jail for a certain amount of time and think about what he's done. I would not want him to be executed because I would like somebody who has the willingness and the ability to speak in front of an audience. I would like for this person to change their mind. Because there's not that many people who are willing to go on a podium and go in front of an audience and speak. It would be more useful this again comes down to the pragmatist part of me, it would be more useful for this person's mind to be changed for the better and then them take their public speaking skill and use it for good. I don't know if that's a thing that can happen, but that would be my ideal scenario. My ideal scenario is this person changing their mind for the better and advocating for something positive.
You know, and everybody's like, oh, well, if they did that, they would kill all these. They wouldn't kill all. They would kill them. All the pride parades. Man, hey, call the riot team. We got a bunch of them. Hey, get the paddy wagon out here. We got a bunch of them going to jail. We got a bunch of them that we're going to get convicted because they have all of their pride junk on and they're professing what they are, that they're a filthy animal, huh?
My dude, you're a literal great ape. Animal's not a fucking insult. You're an ape. You never stopped being an ape. This is the concept of freaking... What is it called? Where the family tree goes down for animals. You never stopped being a eukaryote. You never stopped being a mammal. You never stopped being a monkey. You never stopped being an ape. You just happen to be all these things while also being a human. I can't remember what the name for that is. I can't. I should know it, but it's... Whew.
But after this onslaught where the government's arresting them and carrying out God's laws, and they're all dead, I mean, you think it's just going to be every day? This mass... No. It's not. What do you think, honestly? Who believes that Jesus Christ is coming back to this earth? Hey, who believes Jesus is coming back? Jesus is coming again. I love that song. Come.
Oh my god, then he starts singing? Dude! You posted cringe, dude.
Coming again. He's coming back to this earth, and he's going to rule and reign with a rod of spaghetti noodle.
Oh my god, stop talking about your penis! Stop it! Stop! Oh my god, what? I am coming to reign with my rod. Watch it wave in the breeze. Jesus will come with his rod. What else do you expect him to come with? Oh my god. This just in, everyone in the chat. Jesus can't come with his rod because Jesus has to flick the bean. Oh my gosh. I don't know how I'm supposed to feel. I don't know how I'm supposed to feel about that. Your boredness in the chat. Seriously, can someone tell this moron we don't live in insert theocracy here? We don't need to hear him sing about his genocidal wet dreams. I mean, his wet dreams are in fact what probably got him to the point where he's. Remember, this man is not gay, but he has a hypermasculine God who he just talked about coming with his rod. But this man is not gay. Oh my gosh.
With a pool noodle? Is he going to reign with a pool noodle? No.
Phrasing! Phrasing! Jesus' pool noodle's going to make it rain, everyone. Well, what's it going to rain? Semen. It's going to rain semen. // I don't understand how a person can be ostensibly a pacifist, yet call for the annihilation of an entire group of people. I agree! I don't get it! I don't. I don't understand. Oh my gosh. Yet here we are. Here we are. in this awkward. We have found ourselves in this timeline where this guy gets to have anti-LGBTQ rhetoric while talking about his hypermasculine god coming with a pool noodle. Somebody call Sans. Frisk has broke the timeline. It's broken. Gaster is free. The timeline is gone. It's destroyed. We cannot reset. We cannot save. Asgore will never see the light of day again. This is where we are. We have found ourselves in this timeline, everybody. Oh no, Gaster, no, don't. Oh my gosh. Okay, so a little bit of backstory. A while back, I made a... Where's my fan art folder? This is very important. Trust me, it'll make sense. I'm not talking out of my ass. I swear. I swear I'm not. Where's using every video? My organization is crap, everybody. I'm sorry. Okay, so, fan art. Fan art! Where is my fan art folder? There it is. Boom. Okay, so a while back, I did a stream where I was responding to videos that people had posted in video suggestions. Through this, I responded to a guy saying that we should bring child labor back, and in that response, somebody said that I should do a response to the guy's channel. And the conversation was had between me and Emmett, Gaelic Knox, my channel artist, and also one of my two wonderful girlfriends. Through this conversation, it was decided that if I do my response to this person, I needed to have a dragon avatar for his dragon avatar. This is the avatar she created. So, that is side story. That is side story. There's a reason that it's there, because the next piece of fan art that comes from this is this dude. Say that again. That dragon service that has not been used yet for a video yet, it's now canon, guys. It's canon. It's very canon. It is incredibly canon. There we go. Boom. Say it again. Say that again, Pastor Grayson Fritz. Oh boy. Please. I approve of Dragon Cirrus. I approve of Dragon Cirrus. Does the Cirrus canon require a canon Cirrus? That is the next question. I don't know. That one is from Gaelic Knox. Thank you very much.
He's going to reign with a rod of iron. And what law?
Phrasing again. Also, can I point out that while you're currently talking about not sparing the rod, the child in the back is screaming at you. Just saying. As I have these conversations, as I do these things, somehow, throughout mine, you guys are going to get a peek at my studio. Because, like, there's this stuff that you see, and then there is cat sleeping. There is cat sleeping. And I can't actually show you the cats that are sitting under my desk sleeping. But they are there too. So, somehow in all of my yelling and screaming, I haven't managed to wake these fucks up. But this guy managed to make a child scream. 10 out of 10, buddy. 10 out of 10.
Laws is he going to enforce? Huh? Is he going to call Nancy Pelosi and say, hey, can you draft up a bill for me? Is that who he's going to call? Is he going to call Donald Trump and try to...
Donald Trump. I have never thought of that one.
Hey, Donald, hey, draft up a bill for me. I need your guidance, Supreme Court. You know, half of them are Catholics, or they used to be. I'm not really researched them. I have no...
Half of them are Catholics, backpedals, or they used to be, backpedals. I haven't really researched it. Dude, you're supposed to do the backpedaling when someone calls you out. The only person who called you out is the other voice in your head. Oh, boy. Oh, boy.
No interest in that. Okay? Read 1 Corinthians 6 if you want to know how wicked the judiciary system is. Huh?
Do you want to know how wicked the United States judiciary system that was created about 243 years ago is? Well, let's see here. Go ahead and read this book from 2,000 years ago. It'll tell you exactly what you need to know about current events. My dude. This guy works in law enforcement. What is wrong with the world? Why are we here? Why are we here?
But what laws do you think Jesus is going to be enforcing?
Probably not counting money in the temple. I would say that's one. Probably a real important one. Probably love thy neighbor as thyself, which I think is a horrible law, actually. Because if you hate yourself, then you thereby, by entailment, can then hate your neighbor, and I think that that's bad. I think you should just love your neighbor as a stance of, like, this is the standards. This is the standard you should deal with. But, you know, meh.
I can promise you Leviticus 20:13 is going to be enforced. If you don't believe, honestly, if you don't believe in Leviticus 20:13, and you walk out of here this morning and you're like, I just disagree with that. If you witness a murder, don't call the police. No.
Allow me a moment. Okay. So, if you disagree with this book, and granted this is a Gideon Bible, not the one he's probably a King James Version guy, but this is a Gideon Bible. You disagree with this book. This guy right here. Right? If you disagree with Leviticus. Aha, there you are. There you are, you homophobic chapter. So if I disagree with this guy right here, I read here anything I disagree with. So for instance, the barn owl, the tawny owl, the carrion vulture. I don't like birds. Fuck this book. I can't then go ask a police officer to go handle a murder. Apparently. Are you aware of what a non sequitur is, sir? Are you aware? Because like a non sequitur, not talking about non sequitur show, which is going on right now, I think it might be. I'm not 100% certain. I started late, like an idiot. But a non sequitur is when you have when you try to say something is entailed by something else, and it's absolutely fucking not. It's the opposite of a principle of entailment. Principle of entailment is something that must logically follow from that. It entails this. A non sequitur is something that cannot logically flow from that. It is the opposite of this. What reality must you live in where me disagreeing with something from a book, any book, doesn't have to be your book, but we'll go ahead and call it your book, means that I cannot now report a murder? Also, for the record in chat, I actually do like birds. I just, when I flipped through the Bible, I was trying to find one sentence, and I landed on that one. That was like Leviticus 13:19, I think. Something like that. Something like that. Bible's still in good condition. It's a hardback. You can handle it. But these things don't function the way that he thinks they do. Yet here we are. Why? We're gonna go. We're gonna hit a little bit more in this video. Yeah, I agree. He might be wearing mixed fabrics. What is that? What is that here? Let's take a quick look. YouTube vid. Let us do a zoom in on you, my friend. Let's do a zoom in on you. First, we have to pull you up here. We're about to get uncomfortably close to the good pastor. Let's get uncomfortably close to him. There we go. What's that there, buddy? What's that? What's that here? Is that... Oh, no. Is that a silk tie? And a wool shirt? And is that a polyester jacket? My dude. I'm afraid that I can't be a consistent human being without ordering your death. I can't. I'm sorry, but like I listened to your sermon and I had to agree with what you said, and now we're here, and I'm so sorry. I have to report you to the police, my friend. I have to. At least that's what you said I had to do. And you wouldn't lie to me, would you, Pastor Grayson Fritz? Would you lie to me? You wouldn't do that. You wouldn't do that, would you?
Nothing should happen to that man. He just chose a different lifestyle.
Ah, there's the equation to murder. Somebody is LGBTQ, which isn't a lifestyle, by the way. Saying it is stupid. You must also be okay with somebody who chose a lifestyle that involves extinguishing life from another human being. Hi, Yumi. I need comfort. I need comfort. Oh, for those who don't know, Yumi is our rescue. We got her about 2 months ago, and found out apparently she was pregnant. She does not have the kittens anymore. Apparently, though, that if she had tried to carry to term, they would have killed her. So that was fun. That was a fun vet visit. But she is okay now. She has been treated, and she's gaining weight, and she is nice and healthy now. She's a good kitty. She's a good little rescue. She will keep me sane, given that all of this has happened. I'm glad that she is happy. I'm glad that she is healthy. Even if she has her tail right here. Hey, Yoomster. Everybody in the chat, cat abortion, Yeah. Kitty is not evil like this preacher. Correct. Do we want to continue with this guy's video? Is that a thing we want to do? There's another sermon I wanted to get into, but we are sitting at 2.5 hours, and this stream's gone on for a little bit. And I don't want to keep you guys here too terribly long. Okay. I agree with that. That's fine. Oh, the other sermon? The other sermon is from the Gorda File. It's How to Prevent Gender Dysphoria by Pastor Tommy McMurtry, who may or may not be sexually attracted to pumpkins. That's what this is. This will be its own stream. He'll get his own stream. That's what we'll do. That's what we'll do. Hey, Yumi. What are you doing? You giving me kisses? You giving me kisses? Aww. She is. I think we'll end it on that. We'll end on cat. Okay? We'll end on cat. We have a kitty here we can end on. This is nice and happy. something that's not horrible to deal with. Hey, Yumi. How's it going? So, that all said, I hope you guys enjoyed this. I know that this was maybe a little rough to go through. It's not the most fun criteria. There was some fun that was had during the course of the stream, though. I hope so. And if not, then maybe Jesus needs to touch you with his pool noodle and rain his love on you. But I enjoyed it. This was a fun stream, even if it was a little dark. So, Elizabeth, you need to introduce us to all your cats at some point. There's only 5. They're all rescues. They're all the ones that pop up on the porch. And then they pop up sick. And we have to nurse them to health. And then we're here. Of course. But thank you guys for sticking around. We hit over 300 viewers. This is the most I've ever had on my channel. So thank you very much for that. I am going to go ahead and do the thing where I go eat. Thank you guys very much for all your contributions. Thank you guys for sticking around. And I will see you